I get asked this all the time. Like, you're the Secretary of State for the United States of America, and yet you're an evangelical Christian. How do you mesh those two? It's kind of a silly question to me because everything I do is informed by my understanding of what it is that Jesus instructs us to do, right? It informs everything that I do every day. And it's not that I don't make mistakes and get things wrong. Goodness knows my wife would tell you. I am an authentic Christian. I have my moments. But you can't separate the two. It's like I'm going to go do my government job and then I'm going to go do my job for the Lord. For me, these were of a part, and it drove the New York Times nuts. There's a couple great headlines. One was mockingly, it says, we shouldn't worry about Vladimir Putin. Mike Pompeo is an evangelical nut job. And then I got it a little wrong, but it's very close to that. The other one was Mike Pompeo, God's diplomat, which of course on my epitaph, I'd take that.
Oh yeah,
right?
amen.
Like, it was meant. The article doesn't read that way, but and you know I remember so many times I would walk in. So I was often in the Middle East working on the Abraham Accords, or when we were trying to convince the Taliban to behave. You're sitting across from people who aren't Christian. You're sitting across from Muslims, who they are of the Abrahamic tradition, but they have a very different view of this than we do. And I would always take a moment before I walked in and just pray to make sure that I was doing my duty appropriately.
Well, let me ask you a question. When you walked into some of those meetings, especially with the Abraham Accords, and you're dealing with leaders from the Muslim community, Muslim nations, because they knew you were an evangelical, did they trust you more or less?
Oh, that's a great question. Easy. More. Far more. I'll give you a story that proves this. I was in Cairo. I'd wanted to go give this speech. You'll remember President Obama goes to Cairo and gives what became known as the apology speech, the apology tour. And I was secretary, said I could go to Cairo and give the other speech, and I wanted to do that. So we get it all set up. And I'm drafting the remarks in the weeks up to it. And it keeps, I had as the very first line, I had, Mike, I am an evangelical Christian, as the opening line of this speech in Cairo. And it was very intentional. The speech writing team would like mark it out and it'd come back. And finally I bring the team up and I said, I want to do this because I think it's important that they know where my values come from. And so you can go read the speech or listen to the speech online. I received more positive feedback from the Islamic world from that speech than any other thing I did during my entire time. And they're of a kind. They say, Mike, we had enormous respect for the fact that you would come to our place, tell us who you were, and that you are disciplined in your faith. They admire that. They understand the differences. And so I always think it's really important for all of us in every walk of life, whether you're the Secretary of State or you're a teacher. I think it's important that people come to know who you are, what are the values that drive you, and then we can have good, candid conversations.